So this is a full text speech by former Prime Minister Teressa May. A little over 6 months ago, the British people voted for change. They voted to shape a brighter future for our country. They voted to leave the European Union and embrace the world, and it did so with their eyes open, accepting that the road ahead will be uncertain, but believing that will lead toward a brighter future for their children and their grandchildren too. And it is the job of this government to deliver it, so that's mean more than negotiating our new relationship with the EU. So it's mean taking the opportunity of this great moment of national change to step back and ask ourselves what kind of country we want to be. My answer is clear, so I want the United Kingdom to emerge from the period of change stronger, fairer, more united and more outward looking than ever before. So I want us to be secure, prosperous, tolerant country, a magnet for international talents and a home to the pioneers and innovators who will shape the world ahead. So I want us to be truly global Britain, the best friends and neighbors to our European partners, but a country that reaches beyond the borders of Europe too. A country that goes out into the world to build new relationships with all friends and new allies. So I want Britain to be what they have the potential, talents and ambition to be. A great global trading nation that is respected around the world and strong, confident and united at home. That is why this government has a plan for Britain. One that gathers the right deal abroad, but also ensure that we get a better deal for working people at home. So it is wise as plans set out how we will use this moment of change to build a stronger economy and a fairer society by embracing genuine economic and social reform. Why are our new modern industrial strategies being developed to ensure that every nation and area of the United Kingdom can make the most of the opportunities ahead? Why will go further to reform our school to ensure that every child has the knowledge and the skill they need to thrive in the post-Brexit Britain? Why we'll continue to bring the deficit down, so we'll take a balanced approach by investing in our economic infrastructure, because it can transform the growth potential of our economy and improve the quality of people's lives across the whole country. So it is why we'll put the preservation of our precious union at the heart of everything we do, because it is only by coming together as one great union of nation and people that we can make the most of the opportunities ahead. So the result of the referendum was not a decision to turn inward and retreat from the world, because Britain's history and culture is profoundly internationalist. So we're European countries and proud of our shared European heritage, but we're also a country that has always looked beyond Europe to the wider world. So that is why we are one of the most racially diverse countries in Europe, one of the most multicultural members of the European Union, and why, whether we're talking about India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, America, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, countries in Africa, or those that are closer to home in Europe, so many of us have close friends and relatives from across the world. So instinctively we want to travel to trade with countries, not just in Europe, but beyond the borders of our continent. Even now, as we prepare to leave the EU, we are planning for the next biennial Commonwealth Head of Government meeting. And it is important to recognize this fact. June the 23rd was the moment Britain chose to step back from the world, set for the moment we choose to build a truly global Britain. I know that this and the other reason Britain took such a decision is not well understood among our friends and allies in Europe, and I know many fear that this might herald the beginning of a greater and unwavering European Union. But let me be clear, I don't want that to happen. It wouldn't be in the best interest of Britain, so it's remained overwhelmingly and compellingly in Britain's national interest that the EU should succeed. And that is why I hope that in the month and the year ahead, we'll all reflect on the lesson of Britain's decision to leave. So let me take this opportunity to set out the reason for our decision to address the people of Europe directly. It is not simply because our history and culture is profoundly internationalist. Important though, that is, many in Britain has always felt that the United Kingdom place in the European Union came at the expense of global ties and a bolder embrace of a free trade with the wider world. There are other important reasons too. Our political tradition are different. Unlike other European countries, so we have no written constitution, but the principle of parliamentary sovereignty is the basis of our unwritten constitutional settlement. So we have only a recent history of devolved governance that has rapidly embedded itself, and we have little history of coalition government. The public expect to be able to hold their government to account very directly, and as a result, supranational institutions as strong as those created by the European Union sit very uneasily in relation to our political history and the way of life. And while I know Britain might at the time be seen as an important member state, the European Union has struggled to deal with the diversity of its member countries and their interests. So it's bent toward uniformity, not flexibility. So David Cameron's negotiation was an attempt to make it work for Britain, and I want to thank all those elsewhere who helped him reach an agreement. But the blunt truth, as you know, there was not enough flexibility on many important matters for the majority of the British voters. Now, I do not believe that these things apply uniquely to Britain. Britain is not the only member state where there is a strong attachment to accountable and democratic government. Such a strong internationalist mindset, we believe that diversity within Europe should be celebrated. And so I believe that there is a lesson in Brexit, not just in Britain, but if it's want to succeed for the European Union itself. Because our continent's greatest strength has always been its diversity, and there are two ways of dealing with different interests. You can respond by trying to hold things together by force, starting a vice grip that ends up crushing into tiny pieces, the very things you want to protect. Or you can respect differences, choose it even, or reform the EU so that it deals better with the wonderful diversity of its member states. So to our friends across Europe, let me say this. Our vote to leave the European Union was no rejection of the value we share. The decision to leave the European Union represents no desire to become more distant to you. Our friends and neighbors, it was no attempt to do harm to the European Union or to any of its remaining member states. So we do not want to turn the clock back to the days when Europe was less peaceful, less secure, and less able to trade freely. So it was a vote to restore, as we say it, our parliamentary democracy, national self-determination, and to become even more global and international in action and in spirit. So we'll continue to be reliable partners, willing allies, and close friends. So we want to buy your goods and services, sell you ours, trade with you as freely as possible, and work with one another to make sure that we are all safer, more secure, and more prosperous through continuous friendship. You will still be welcome in this country, as we hope our citizens will be welcome in yours at a time when together